Question number 7, Phil Twyford.
Mr Speaker, my question is for the Minister for Social Housing. Does she stand by all her statements?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister, yes, within the context in which they were given.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
What was her motivation for briefing her staff on the police investigation into Hurimoana Dennis?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, her motivation on behalf of the Minister was that the staff should know what the Minister had been discussing, and the matter moved on from there.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Are the media reports correct that the 3 to 4 staff she said that she briefed on the police investigation included Lucy Bennett, Clark Hennessy and her senior political advisor, Belinda Milnes?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I think those people are among her staff. That's likely. But of course, ministers are not constrained by any particular rules about briefing their staff, and that's because staff are in a pretty important part of getting a lot of things done.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Was she surprised, given her reputation for leaking information about her critics, that her staff took the same approach with the information that she gave them about the police investigation?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, refute these statements made by the member. I'm surprised to see the Labor Party outraged by what they call a leak to the media, which turns out to be discussion around a dinner table about something apparently everyone already knew about, but the media had decided not to run until they could use it to attack Paula Bennett.
Supplementary.
What a load of rubbish. That's the media's fault now.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Why, after the Human Rights Commission told her she had breached Natasha Fuller's privacy by releasing her private information, did she say she might do it again and, quote, it would depend on the circumstances?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the two events are not connected in any way, because in this case, apparently, as I'm advised, the person concerned told the Minister himself, and I'm told that everyone, quote, everyone knew.
Entry.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Were the journalists correct who tell me that her office regularly releases this sort of information to discredit critics and shut down stories? And if so, why does she believe they would make that up?
Either of those two supplementary questions, the Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no, those journalists are... well, I don't know exactly what they said to the member because I wouldn't want to rely on his description of it. But I think if the member was familiar with how this story became a story, it was a matter of about third-hand gossip through a series of social events that ended up as a story.
Order. 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 To Mr Twyford and Mr English. The series of questions have now concluded. I'm calling Tracy Martin. Order. Order. Would both members please, if they want to carry on the interchange, suggest try it in the lobby. Tracy Martin, question number 8.